So first up is the Tier 5 Premium Medium Tank. It is called the Turan 3 Prototypus. It has 570 HP, 330 view range, 40 km an hour top speed, and gun depression of 10 degrees. It has 110 average damage and 113 penetration. Reload time is 3.84 seconds and the rate of fire at 15.64 seconds with an aim time of 2.11 seconds, 1720 DPM. This isn't really my kind of tank, so I'm going to move on to the kind of tank that more players are interested in, which is probably the Tier 8 58. And here it is, and there are two versions of this tank. One is called the Panzer 58, which is the one you are looking at now. It is in grey color, and the other one is a green colored Panzer 58 Moods, which is green with a white bear painted on the side of it. Now both the Panzer 58 and the Panzer 58 Moods are completely identical in terms of stats. They have 1877 DPM, 212 penetration with an average damage of 240. It has an aim time of 2.21 seconds and an accuracy of 0.35. So this tank has a forward speed of 50 km an hour, 20 reverse, and 600 horsepower, and a power to weight ratio of 17.23 horsepower to weight ton. So the hull armor is 90 in the front, 30 on the sides and 40 at the back. Turret armor 120 in the front, 65 on the side and 40 at the back, which means it has no armor at all. And as you can see, the T-44 can easily penetrate the mantlet of this tank. Here is the Panzer 58 Moods, the absolute identical stats of the Panzer 58. Only difference is the cosmetic. Same weak mantlet, nice graphics on the side though. Some say it's the equivalent of the German Pershing, so we took it for a hull down test. So here's the Panzer 58 Moods in a hull down demonstration. It has a 10 degree gun depression and a 25 degree gun elevation. It can poke up and down a ridge much like the American Pershing, but I think, to be honest with you, it is closer to the French CDC as opposed to the Pershing. This tank does not have the turret armor that the Pershing has, although you do see a bounce there, but it doesn't happen as often as I'd like it to happen. So here's the profile from the side in third person. We can see that it's quite useful to poke up and down a ridge, but to rely on the turret armor, it's not going to be very consistent. You are not going to get many bounces. As you can see, I'm getting penetrated even though I'm only poking up and down and pausing momentarily to shoot. So if you are considering getting this Panzer 58 or the 58 Moods, I think you shouldn't compare it to a Pershing, but try think of it as a German CDC. Alright, let's move on to our next tank, which is the T-44-100 Soviet medium tank in Tier 8. It is the exact T-44, except this one has side skirts. Let's compare it with the Panzer 58 Moods. The DPM is slightly better, 1931 versus the 1877 of the Moods. Penetration of 183, which is a lot worse than the Moods, which is 212. Damage per shot is slightly better, 250 versus 240 on the Moods, and slightly worse rate of fire and reload time. It has better aim time and accuracy than the Moods, which is aim time of 2.11 seconds and accuracy of 0.34. Let's talk a little bit about the armor. It has a hull armor of 90 in the front, 75 on the sides and 45 at the back. Turret armor at 120 in the front, 100 on the sides and 100 on the back. However, as you can see in this little demonstration here, a T-37 light tank with standard AP shells is going to penetrate the mantlet and the cheeks almost every time. This is not a very good tank in my opinion, and I'd probably stay away from it. The next new tank is the Su-76-1 or 76I. It is a tier 3 version of the Su-100. I suppose it is a mini-me of the Su-100. I'm not really interested in tier 3 tanks, so I will not dwell so much on it. It has 1600 DPM, average penetration of 86 and damage of 110. I am not so interested in this tank, so I will move on. The next tank is the Su-85I, also another variation of the Su-100, yet another mini-me in tier 5. I'm not very interested in this, so I will move on to the main show of the tank destroyer department, which is the KV4 KTTS tank destroyer in tier 8. This is of course a premium tank, and it does about 2500 damage per minute with an average penetration of 227 and a nice alpha of 320. Now the weird thing about this tank is the turret can look right, as you can see here, more than it can look left. What it means is that it can look right 45 degrees and look left 15 degrees. Kind of weird. The gun has a rate of fire of 7.82 and a reload time of 7.67 seconds. Kind of slow rate of fire, but that's what you get when you have 320 alpha. Aim time is at 2.4 seconds with an accuracy of 0.35. Forward speed in this tank is 35 km an hour, which is not too fast and not too slow. Reverse speed of 10 km an hour. Turret traverse 29.20 seconds, while the tank traverses at 26 degrees per second. The armor on this tank is 200 on the front, 125 on the side and 125 on the back. The turret armor is 250 on the front, 125 on the sides and back. View range on this tank is relatively low with only 350 meters. Even with all the modules and crew training, etc., I think you'll be lucky if you can get 410. Let's move on to the next tank, which is the M4 improved, a tier 5 Sherman variation. I have not much interest in this tank, but all the stats seem to indicate it is slightly better than the Sherman, except the penetration, which is 92 versus the M4 Sherman of 128. Moving on to the next tank, it is a tier 4 premium tank, Sentinel AC-1. It is not something I'm very interested in. However, I can tell you the penetration quickly, 88 and damage of 45, which to be honest with you isn't very good at all, is it? It also has very poor armor of 60 in the front of the turret and the hull, and the only way it makes up for it is the rate of fire, which is 27.20 and reload time of 2.21 seconds. So this is a DPM machine at tier 4. Alright, next up is the Matilda Black Prince. This is a tier 5 medium premium tank, and it has a DPM of 2040. Penetration is at 110 and damage 75. This tank hasn't got much going for it, but again, it is another DPM machine. It has a rate of fire of 27.20 and a reload time of 2.21 seconds. The armor on this tank is negligible, just as bad as the Sentinel AC-1. Next up, probably the star of the show is the AMX M4 49. It is a French premium heavy tank at tier 8. This tank has 1350 hit points and the gun does 1564 damage per minute. The average penetration on the gun is 232 and it does an average of 300 damage. It has a rate of fire of 5.21 rounds per minute and a reload time of 11.51 seconds. The AMX has a 40 km/h forward speed and a 15 km/h reverse speed. The hull armor on this tank is 118mm in the front, 40 on the sides and back, while the turret armor is 250 in the front, 120 on the side and 60 at the back. As you can see, this Tier 9 T54 medium tank cannot penetrate the lower or upper plates of this tank. Remember, the standard shell penetration of the T54 Tier 9 medium tank is between 151 and 251 penetration. Back to more armor testing, you can see the T54 is trying to penetrate the upper plate but cannot seem to do so with the angled armor. It is shooting the cupola, which you shoot it square, you will manage to penetrate the cupola. Shooting the lower plate, it will not penetrate. We've tried that a couple of times already, it will just not work. Shooting the mantlet also does not penetrate, and even the turret ring of the AMX will withstand the standard shell penetration of a T54. Here we angled the tank to give him the cheeks so that he has a flat surface to shoot at, and he does manage to penetrate. And now we move on to the side scrape test, and we let the T54 shoot our tracks and it does no damage. And even the top of our hull, he fires at the hull and also does not penetrate. However, it does take out the tracks. So I foresee that this AMX would be useful in a side scrape situation. Now we are giving it the side of our turret, and naturally it does pan because it is a flat surface. Well, that concludes our video for today, testing the new premium tanks and taking them out for a spin. I guess the clear winner here today is the AMX M4 49, followed closely by the Panzer 58 Mutz. I think these are the two clear winners here. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the information and it will help you select your premium tank when it's time for you to get one. Please smash the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I will make more similar videos like this. Once again, thank you for your support, and I will see you on the battlefield. Bye!